Hello, dear students. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a new lecture. In this lecture, we're going to start with a new theme, which is entitled Technology, and the lesson is entitled Antisocial Networking. Now, I want to note you grade 8, you have for your reading book, new themes for today, part E and part B. Now, this lesson is in part B, which is I'm going to send or share with you as a PDF. Let's start. Now, as you can see here in front of you, you can see people chatting on their phones, laptops, their emotions, talking to people, getting to know people. So that's what we're going to discuss, especially you as teenagers. You can see your Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Snapchat, all these, Dropbox, the social media platforms, right? So it's mainly about how technology, mainly social media, is affecting the social relations of humans and their interaction or networking, for example. Okay, that was just a small introduction to this theme. What are the learning objectives in this lecture? By the end of this lecture, you will be able to discuss the questions posed in this lesson, the lead-in questions, to take a stance, a position, and persuade others, okay, other peers or students or any person with reasons of your point of view. Now, you'll be able also to identify the meaning of vocabulary words using context clues. Read the lesson, which is entitled Antisocial Networking with 80% Accuracy and Fluency, and discuss and reflect on the author's stance presented in the text, then answer various referential and inferential questions based on the reading text. Now, here's the table of contents. We will look at the read-in questions and discuss them together. Now, we are not currently face-to-face, but I'm going to have a small discussion with you, and I want you to think of what I'm going to say, and then share your answers with me and with any other person you would like to share with. Then we're going to set a purpose for our reading, start our reading, and solve the comprehension questions. So let's look at the lead-in questions. Just a second. Okay. So looking at the lead-in questions, they say the following. What is social media? You know what social media is, right? The social platform that we use to post about our daily life. That's the thing that's mostly happening nowadays. To chat with people, getting to know people. That's mostly how we use social media. To look at content. Do you have to be on every social media network? Do you think you have to be on every social media network? And how much time do you spend on social media platforms? What kind of posts do you share on social media, and why do you post these posts? Do you post pictures of you going somewhere? Do you post what you are eating, where you're sitting, with whom you are sitting? And why do you feel you want to share that? How do Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp affect your social life and personality? Are you becoming more of an introverted person? Now, after the COVID-19 pandemic and with people having less interaction, more using, for example, these platforms, not only for socializing, but also for learning, that affected variously different people. Some students even are facing social problems and they're not accepting being in classrooms and interacting with people. So what about you? Do you think, are you aware of the effect that this could have on your personality and on your social life? So these are the questions which we're going to answer. Try to answer them before starting, because I'm sure you are well knowledgeable about this topic and you would have answers to these questions. Then you will be also trying to find an answer through the reading and also after the reading. So let's set a purpose for our reading. As we read this passage, note how the author describes the way or the ways social network influences people's lives and what interferences can you make. Okay, I'm sorry, what inferences can you make? How can you infer? What can you infer from what's being presented about these social network influences on people's lives to you? What can you conclude, deduce, and learn? So let's start with our reading. Paragraph number 1. Hey, you were dark. Between quotations, someone is saying, so said the girl to the boy with a smile. Thanks, said the boy. Just kidding, said the girl with another smile. You're only slightly dorky, but other than that, you're pretty normal sometimes. They both laughed. See you tomorrow, said the boy. Okay, see you. You see okay capitalized? Focus on that, said the girl. It was a pretty typical preteen exchange, one familiar through generations. Except this one had a distinctly 2010 twist. What's this twist? It was conducted on Facebook. The smiles were typed ha-has. OK was just K, and CU rendered as letter C, yeah, which is CYA. You see, the language you and most of people nowadays are using while chatting on those social media platforms. That was an introduction. So let's continue to paragraph number 2. Children used to actually talk to their friends, especially children, most importantly, this age group, children. Nowadays, we see a 7-year-old having his or her own phone, right? We didn't see that. We didn't have that back then. So children nowadays are getting used to talk to, sorry, children before used to talk to their friends face to face, play with them, have this interaction, but now no. Those hours spent on the family phone or hanging out with pals in the neighborhood after school vanished long ago. But now, even chatting on cell phones or via email, through which you can at least converse in paragraphs, okay, in passé, for today's teenagers and preteens, the give and take of friendship seems to be conducted increasingly in the abbreviated snatches of cell phone texts and instant messages, or through the very public form of Facebook walls and MySpace bulletins, which means before, when you had a friend, you used to really have a friend, to be with that friend, experience life with that friend, have some real face-to-face time with that person, right? But nowadays, most of the connections, the people you know, the friendships, you see, for example, how many followers do you have on Instagram or Facebook? Do you call them all, or most of them, part of them, group of them, friends? Are they truly your friends? You just, for example, chat with them with all these hearts and smiles, but maybe if you have met them face to face, you didn't have become friends with that person, or you wouldn't have, for example, wanted to be talking to that person. But social media platforms are normalizing everything, and everyone now is being called our friend. Last week, now we're in paragraph number 3. Last week, the Pew Research Center found that half of American teenagers ages 12 through 17 send 50 or more text messages a day, and that 1/3 send more than 100 a day. 2/3 of the texters surveyed means questioned in a research study by the Center's Internet and American Life project, said they were more likely to use their cell phones to text friends than to call them. So again, even texting and not calling. To date, much of the concern over all this issue, overall this use of technology has been focused on the darker side of online interactions like cyberbullying. But psychologists and other experts are starting to take a look at a less sensational but potentially more profound and perilous phenomenon: whether technology may be changing the very nature of kids' friendships and familial relationships, and consequently their personality. So it's a major problem. The way you're interacting with people, the way you understand and connect, the way you live, the way you talk, the way, like, because social interactions affect on building your own personality. So that has become a great worry, especially for psychologists, because it's affecting kids' friendships, the familial relationships, and the personality of the individual. Paragraph number 5. The question on researchers' minds is whether all that texting and the instant messaging and online social networking allows children to become more connected to and supportive of their friends and family, or whether the quality of their interactions is being diminished without the intimacy and emotional give and take of regular, extended face to face time. So, to sum paragraph 5 up, the researchers are thinking, okay, kids are spending, like, they used to play with their friends for 3 hours a day. Now they can talk to them all day. Maybe they're having more friends. Okay, now their question is this being a quality time spent? Is this really affecting them positively, supporting them, making them feel connected? So is it helping them in some way? Are they feeling the intimacy, the emotional connection, or it's connection, or it's just words and talking and chats behind the walls and all these distances? Okay, so is this intimacy between people, the social connection, getting diminished because of this networking, the way of interaction? That's the question. Because if it's not affecting them, it wouldn't be a great problem, right? Some people would argue that it technology do help people. Some people feel better when they have more friends, for example. They get to know more people. They're less shy, whatever. But on the other hand, it is affecting more than helping. In addition to that, nowadays most people, mostly teenagers and children, look at the number of one's followers and they think that if that person has more followers, that person is better than the other or more liked or more accepted in the society, which is not correct. This is just one example of how it's changing even your view of your own self, right? Let's continue to paragraph number 6. One of the concerns is that, unlike their parents, many of whom recall having intense childhood relationships with a buddy with whom they would spend all their time and tell all their secrets, today's youths may be missing out on experiences that help them develop empathy, understand emotional nuance, and read social cues like facial expressions and body language.